Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about money. Money. Some have it. Some don't. Some have mastered it. Most are still chasing it. You might think of money as numbers and spreadsheets, maybe an equation to solve. But financial decisions are rarely made with calculators. They're made around dinner tables influenced by ego, pride, fear, and personal history. The truth is that financial success isn't about how much you know. It's about how you behave. This video is inspired by Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. Let's explore the human side of money. We all come from different generations, raised by parents with different incomes, values, and opportunities. That shapes how we think about money. For example, people born in 1970 saw the S&P 500 rise almost tenfold in their teens and 20s. They tend to trust the stock market. People born in 1950 saw the market go nowhere during those same years. They often distrust it. People born in the 1960s grew up with high inflation. They are more sensitive to it. People born in 1990 experienced low inflation. They think less about it. Your view of money is shaped by when and where you were born. Every financial decision feels rational when you make it because it fits your life story. As Housel says, people do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. Take Warren Buffett. He is one of the greatest investors of all time. What's surprising is that $81.5 billion of his $84.5 billion net worth came after his mid-60s. The reason is time. He started investing at age 10. By age 30, he had $1 million. Compounding worked for him longer than anyone else. Here's how compounding works. Invest $1,000 at 8%. After 1 year, you earn $80. Next year, you earn not only on the original $1,000, but also on the $80. Over decades, that effect multiplies in ways most people underestimate. Buffett's skill is investing. His secret is time. Compare him to Jim Simons, a hedge fund manager who achieved returns of 66% annually since 1988. Far higher than Buffett, but his net worth is only about $21 billion. Why? He started late at 50. He had less time for compounding to work. Housel points out that if Simons had Buffett's time horizon, his fortune would have been absurdly higher. The lesson is simple. Compounding plus time beats skill alone. Now let's talk about pessimism. People are drawn to it when it comes to money. Optimism feels like hope, but pessimism feels urgent. A market crash makes headlines. A slow recovery does not. A sudden disaster captures attention. Slow progress gets ignored. That's why we often believe things are worse than they are. Yet over time, the odds of improvement are usually in our favor. Don't let pessimism drive your financial choices. Luck and risk also play huge roles. In 1968, out of 300 million teenagers worldwide, 300 attended Lakeside School in Seattle. That school happened to lease a computer. Bill Gates was one of those students. Without Lakeside, there might be no Microsoft. Gates admits it. His classmate Kent Evans was equally gifted, but he died in a mountaineering accident before graduation. Luck and risk sit side by side. Success needs talent, but also timing and fortune. Housel reminds us that controlling money is also about controlling time. Happiness comes from being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, not from the size of your paycheck or house. Many people sacrifice time for more money, but money without freedom is empty. Consider tail events. Most outcomes in business and investing come from a small number of big wins. Art dealer Heinz Berggruen collected thousands of pieces, but a handful made his fortune. Venture capitalists fund many startups, but only a few generate massive returns. Amazon built many failed products, but Prime and AWS carried the company. Buffett invested in hundreds of stocks, but 10 made most of his money. The lesson is to accept failures along the way. Success often depends on a few rare, outsized results. Now let's separate being rich from being wealthy. Richness is visible. Income, cars, houses. Wealth is invisible. Savings and investments you haven't spent. The Lamborghini on the street doesn't prove wealth. It might prove debt. True wealth is restraint. The vacations you skip, the upgrades you decline, the purchases you avoid. Wealth is what you don't see. Another lesson is about the price of investing. Many want returns without risk, but that doesn't exist. Like buying a car, you either pay full price, accept lower value, or try to steal it. Most wouldn't steal a car, but in markets people try. They attempt to avoid volatility, to time dips and peaks. That's like stealing. In reality, volatility is the price of returns. Treat it as an admission fee, not a fine. If you accept the price, you stay invested long enough to benefit. Finally, know when enough is enough. This is the antidote to the hedonic treadmill, where every achievement pushes the goal further. Bernie Madoff and Rajat Gupta had everything, but still wanted more. Both ended in scandal. Enough is realizing that happiness is not found in endless accumulation. It's in knowing your limits, valuing time, and having control over your life. Another big lesson about money is that it is never purely logical. It is emotional. For example, some people save aggressively because they grew up with financial instability. Others spend freely because money was always abundant in their family. Neither group is right or wrong. They are simply reacting to their own history. Morgan Housel argues that one of the best financial skills you can develop is simply endurance. Staying invested when times are tough. Continuing to save when it feels slow. Holding your ground when others panic. Most fortunes are built not by brilliance, but by consistency over long periods. Think about it. Almost every big financial reward requires patience. Stock market growth takes decades. Businesses take years to scale. Careers take years to mature. There is no shortcut. The biggest danger is losing your patience and quitting before compounding has the chance to work for you. This connects back to the difference between getting rich and staying rich. Getting rich often requires taking risks. Staying rich requires avoiding unnecessary risks. You do not need to make bold moves every year. What you need is survival. If you stay in the game long enough, compounding does most of the work. A useful mindset is what Housel calls room for error. No matter how confident you are in your plan, you should always leave a margin of safety. This means keeping extra savings, avoiding over-leveraging, and being conservative with forecasts. History shows that surprises happen more often than we expect. The people who survive are not always the smartest, but the ones prepared for uncertainty. Let's look at an example. In 2008, during the financial crisis, many highly educated professionals lost their homes because they borrowed too much during the boom years. They had knowledge, but they had no margin of safety. Compare that with investors who kept cash reserves or lived below their means. They were able to endure the downturn and later benefit from the recovery. Money is never about maximizing every single decision. It is about putting yourself in a position where mistakes do not ruin you. Survival is underrated in finance. The hardest part of money is not building it, but keeping it. History is full of people who rose quickly and fell even faster. Athletes who earned millions and went bankrupt. Entrepreneurs who sold companies and lost it all. Lottery winners who were broke within a decade. The pattern is clear. Making money requires offense. Keeping money requires defense. Defense in finance looks boring, but it works. It means saving more than you spend, avoiding lifestyle creep, saying no to risky bets, and being humble enough to admit you don't know what the future holds. Warren Buffett once said the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. Every financial blow-up interrupts compounding. That is why survival is everything. Think about long-term investing. You don't need to win every year. You don't even need to win most years. All you need is to avoid catastrophic losses. A portfolio that grows slowly but consistently for 40 years will outperform a portfolio that takes big risks and occasionally blows up. Here's another way to think about it. When you're building wealth, bravery helps. When you're keeping wealth, paranoia helps. A little fear is healthy. It forces you to prepare, to save, to diversify. It makes you aware that no matter how smart you are, external shocks can still crush you. This is why humility is such an underrated financial skill. The market does not care about your degree, your IQ, or your confidence. It humbles everyone eventually. Those who survive are the ones who respect uncertainty and plan for it. Take the story of Richard Fuld, the CEO of Lehman Brothers. In 2007, he was worth nearly $1 billion. By 2008, after Lehman collapsed, his fortune had almost completely disappeared. Decades of work gone in a single year. Contrast that with investors who played slower, safer games. They never made headlines, but their wealth endured. The lesson is simple. Getting rich demands optimism, boldness, and a willingness to bet. Staying rich demands frugality, caution, and respect for risk. You need both sides of the coin. Without offense, you don't grow. Without defense, you don't last. And remember, the longer you last, the more compounding can do its work. Time in the market beats timing the market, but only if you stay in the game. At the end of the day, money is not only about knowledge, formulas, or strategies. It is about behavior. It is about patience, discipline, survival, and knowing when enough is enough. Getting rich and staying rich are two different skills, and both matter. If you remember anything, remember this. Financial success belongs to those who respect time, accept risk, and focus less on looking rich and more on building real wealth.